Hey YouTube. So I'm looking through Reddit and I see a lot of new players trying the game for the first time this weekend, as it is available on Steam for free. There seems to be two common mistakes being made, and it's something that I didn't cover in the last video for beginners. But now that I've seen people's screenshots of their colonies, I see that this mistake is not immediately obvious to the new player. So this video is to help you out on starting your colony if you're just starting Oxygen Not Included for the first time. The number one mistake is not digging out your initial starting location entirely until you reach the swamp biome or material that is too hot to handle. And the second mistake is not making basic flooring, which will help you organize your base and divide your space into dedicated rooms. Not only that, but you will have morale boosts for your duplicants by doing this as well. So we're going to go through the first 10 cycles of starting any new game to show you how you should start your colony. What I really want you to take away from here is what you should accomplish by approximately your 10th cycle that will set you in a good trajectory for a successful colony. If you're a more experienced player, you may have different objectives that you want to rush early on, and that's totally fine. What I'm focusing on is helping the new player who may not have a good understanding of the game mechanics and how to start your colony and set it up for success. So we'll go ahead and jump into a standard base game. So this screen can be quite intimidating. There's a lot of information here. In general, you want someone who is going to be good at digging, because when you first start your colony, digging is going to be very important. So we have Joshua here. He's +3 excavating and +3 athletics, so he gets a speed boost right off the start, which is very nice. When he's no longer digging, we can upgrade him in machine operation, and he cannot do researching errands, which is great because we don't need him to. We're going to have a dedicated researcher. Bubbles here has +7 science. However, she has the bottomless stomach negative trait, which I cannot stand. So we're going to reroll Bubbles. Otto's the exact same. I don't want someone with decreased athletics. Decreased husbandry I can live with. So +9 science. Once again, increased machinery is going to be super helpful later on when Ashkin is no longer researching, and I don't care if he has decreased husbandry because I'm not going to have him farming. Another one you can go for is someone who specializes in construction. So Bubbles +9 construction. Kitchen Menace is an excellent negative trait to have, and she will be immune to chilly surroundings. So let's go. The Duplicant Galaxy. So the first thing you want to do when you start any game is zoom out and identify where your water locations are. Ideally, over the course of time, you want to get these into a similar pit. You don't want them just all over the place because they're going to take up a lot of room. What I like to do is take a look and make sure that none of the water sources are sitting on a hot tile, such as this phosphorite down here. If it is, this water is going to get hotter a lot quicker, and it will be less useful for us if we're growing certain types of crops. So we're going to start out by digging as far as we can, bore high to one side. As you're digging, you want to keep an eye on temperatures throughout the map. I would probably start slowing down on the digging as soon as I get to this granite. If you get too far, it will start allowing too much heat into your base early on. You definitely don't want your base overheating very early because you won't have a way to cool it until you get farther down the line. Don't build your beds right beside the printing pod because it's emitting light. So if you build your bed right beside this pod, your duplicates won't be able to sleep. Also, having said that, be careful of the shine bug. If this shine bug gets into your sleeping quarters, your duplicates will not be able to sleep well. So keep that in mind. Since we have this water pit right above another water pit, I'm going to dig straight down into it. And we're going to combine these two water pits. When you dig, always leave one space to each side of the ladder. This will allow adequate airflow throughout your base, which is very important. It's important for carbon dioxide flowing to the bottom of your base, otherwise it will get stagnant and stuck on certain floors. And it will also help you build piping later on when you get far enough into the game. While they're taking their first break, it's a good idea to get an introduction into scheduling. It will be more helpful to you if you spread your duplicants out. Meaning, you don't want all of your duplicants going to bed at the exact same time, because if something happens to your base, let's say your coal generators run out of coal, if everyone's asleep, it's not going to get done. So just move each duplicant to their own schedule And as you pick up new duplicants, you can add them to various different schedules to spread them out. This also helps keep your bathroom sizes small. If you have your entire colony going to bed at the same time, and they're going to be using the washroom at the same time, and a lot of duplicants won't be able to make it because there's just too many in one washroom. So your solution will be to build more washrooms, which take up more space, or you can simply set their schedule staggered. It's a very easy solution, and you can go through the entire game by only having 3 washrooms and 3 sinks. So again, we're going to take a look at our temperature. We don't want to dig into here, this new biome. You don't want your base to heat up prematurely when you don't have to. Again, I'm just making sure that none of my tiles are intersecting with the very hot tiles a little bit farther out. Making a deep pit right away is also a great way to take care of your early game carbon dioxide. If you didn't have this pit, it would just sit on the main floor, and your duplicants will not be able to work. They'll have to continuously go up higher to catch their breath. Okay, so right around this time, we should be thinking about building our first oxygen diffuser. And I want this as central as possible to where my main base is, because I want this to be as efficient as possible in giving me oxygen in the places that I need it the most. I don't really care about oxygen way down here or way over here right now. I care about oxygen in this area where my dupes are going to be sleeping and using the washroom. I'm having my duplicants dig out this block of water right here. I want it to flow directly into my water pit, so get this out of the way. I need to use the space. Okay, and now we also have our first duplicant available that we can take from the printing pod. So I think I'm going to take Freja. I want to take my 4th duplicant right away, but it's not important to take a duplicant every single time the printing pod goes off. In fact, you probably don't want to take your 5th duplicant until you have a stable food source. In areas where your duplicants cannot jump across an opening, you want to set up some ladders. The reason why we're not using tiles right away is because all the material that we dig out above the ladder is going to fall down. And if we have it all collect on one platform, it'll make it really easy and convenient for duplicants to pick up material when they need it for building. Otherwise, you'll eventually have to sweep all this area when the time comes to clean up your base. I'm going to set my research to get me the farming tile right away. One of the things that I like to do is make sure that only the person who is trained to be researching is doing the researching. I'm going to set everybody to be disallowed researching, and then I'm going to give the priority just to Ashkin. So again, the reason why I'm doing this is because I don't want someone like Joshua or Bubbles, who are not good at researching, to waste time on the research station. And you can do this throughout for all of your more niche dedicated tasks in the base. For example, you're going to want someone who is cooking your food, and you're only going to want them to focus on cooking. Okay, so we have the shine bug, and it's getting awfully close to the beds where Josh is sleeping. So I'm just going to go ahead and attack it. And now I have my farm tiles unlocked. So this is a very important part of your early game, is making sure you have a stable source of food. In this case, we're going to be growing mealwood. So we have all this water left over from that water pit. I want that mopped up right away. Otherwise, my dupes will get a debuff. They will get the sloppy wet debuff, and that increases their stress. Okay, we're just about to finish cycle 5. You can see I have a room set up. This is a barracks. I built extra beds because I will eventually be expanding my base, so I have extras that I don't have to build later on. We got some duplicates earning some skills. Ashkin, the researcher, we definitely want him to be faster at researching. I just upgraded Bubbles with hard digging, so this will allow him to dig through harder material. You can see the duplicates' reaction when they don't have enough oxygen. They will frequently need to stop what they're doing to climb and catch their breath. This will happen the exact same way if carbon dioxide starts to collect at the bottom of your base. This is why it's so important to dig low. You don't want carbon dioxide accumulating where your bathrooms are, or where your research station is, or where your generator is. because your duplicates will not be able to use these machinery effectively. So make sure you keep digging down until you can deal with the carbon dioxide. The oxygen levels are looking good right now. You can see the carbon dioxide is accumulating all in this pit at the bottom, and we have plenty of oxygen throughout the base. Okay, we're at cycle 6 and we have a decision to make. We have another duplicate available from the printing pod. You have to use your judgment to see if you can support that duplicate, because that duplicate will be a tax on your colony in the form of oxygen consumption and food consumption. So you have to make sure you can deal with that before you take them on. In this case, we'll take Trivaldo. He's good enough. We'll get him started in operating. This will be very important because a lot of skill points need to go into operating in order for conveyor belt construction to start. And this is more of a mid-game task that you have to worry about. But if you can find an operator early, they are going to be tremendously helpful. Bubbles can also be upgraded. We'll give her construction. So we just broke through our top pit of water. You can see it's kind of making a mess. That's why I put this one block of tile here. Unfortunately, it's not doing anything. The mess is actually being created on our farm tile, so we'll have to get that cleaned up as soon as the water stops flowing. Okay, we're just about halfway through cycle 8. This room up here that I'm working on, this will be where my washrooms are set up. I'm expanding my farm tiles because now I have enough seeds to plant. Okay, we've encountered a problem where Freja and Trivaldo have built themselves into a corner. They are not going to reach the washroom in time. They fell asleep up here where they built themselves in, and unfortunately they're going to most likely pee their pants and pee on all these crops. So that's unless Ashkin can get at least one tile done right away. The only way I can see saving this is if I have this ladder set to 9 priority. Actually, we'll give it a red alert. If they can get this done quickly, they may be able to make it down to the outhouses, but I don't think so. And you can see Trivaldo made a mess. So unfortunately, now we have to deal with cleaning that up. Okay, I got Ashkin working on researching the coal generator because I don't want my duplicates to be on the manual generator for too long. This is a lot of wasted time. I'd rather just have them putting coal in a generator instead. And that just got finished. This is how I like to run through the skill tree in the early game. I want to have farm tiles researched as soon as possible. Then I want to research my coal generator so I can get my duplicates off of the hamster wheel. That's so important. You don't want your duplicates getting stuck at a job that can be handled by something that's automatic or some form of automation. The next thing that I'm going to work on is my rock crusher, because once I have the coal generator unlocked, it's just going to continue running indefinitely. By getting my rock crusher researched, I can then use my refined materials that I get from my rock crusher to build the smart battery and automation wiring. And that's really important because your smart battery will be able to control when your coal generator turns off and on. Looks like Trivaldo is going to get stuck again if I don't get him off this ledge. Okay, and there you have it. There's 10 cycles in oxygen not included. Let's recap what we built and what we accomplished, and how we set ourselves up for success later on. First thing that we did is we relocated our pockets of water throughout the map. They're all in a singular basin, so it's easy to deal with, it's out of the way. And we can use that space for building our base and setting up our infrastructure. We also built our pit big enough for our carbon dioxide to accumulate. Like we talked about earlier, if the carbon dioxide starts to accumulate on the bottom floor where your duplicates are trying to work, they're not going to work efficiently because they're going to be holding their breath, and they'll constantly have to climb higher to get more fresh air. We're going to be soon transitioning away from the outhouses. That's what this building will be for. I will have 3 sinks and 3 lavatories here. I'll also have to research liquid pumps to get that online. I have plenty of farm tiles on the go to support my 5 duplicants. So again, we talked about earlier, not taking on duplicants that you can't afford to feed with food or oxygen. In this case, we have plenty of farm tiles on the go with plenty of mealwood growing. So we were safe to take our 4th and 5th duplicants as soon as they arrived at the printing pod. We have a temporary barracks set up right here, and this has 6 cots in it, just in case I decide to take on another duplicant before I relocate this area. And we have the starting of what will be the Great Hall. Right now it's just a mess hall. Once you put decoration items in here, which we will get through the research tree, this will turn into a Great Hall and give your duplicants a +6 morale boost. So let's just take a quick look at how we set our base up just in the first 10 cycles. We have our washrooms that are almost set up. That will give us a +2 morale boost. We have our barracks, which is currently giving us a +1 morale boost. And we have our mess hall, which is giving us a +3 morale boost. Our oxygen is adequate throughout the base. And like we mentioned at the beginning, I'm staying away from these hot pockets. I do not want to dig into these hot pockets, especially down here, over here, and as you can see, this abyssal light, 44 degrees. We wouldn't be able to dig into that right now anyways, because this requires a skill that we don't have. However, if we expose this material to the surrounding atmosphere in our base will start to heat up, and we don't want that. We're also staying away from the swamp biome, which is this green biome right here. We definitely never want to dig into areas with pockets of polluted water, because polluted oxygen will start to make its way into the base, and our duplicants will start to get food poisoning. Before venturing out of this main base that we're digging out, we want to create a liquid lock, and that's covered in my previous video, starting oxygen not included for beginners. Other than that, this is a pretty good start for your colony. This is what your base should more or less look like within the first 10 cycles. And until next time, I'm Ethan. See you later.